Peng kneels on the ground, crying bitterly. Desperately trying to prove himself, he asks for help to avenge himself. Yu Wujia looks at the disfigured Peng with a cold gaze. He kicked her directly, sending her flying out. Your face is already ruined. What capital do you have left to ask for my help? After saying that, he didn't forget to spit at her. At this point, Peng lying on the ground finally saw everything clearly. So this is how you see me. Everything is just false pretenses. So you all are the same. Treating me as worthless, and bullying me with impunity. Your current expression is the same as theirs when they look at me. But where did I go wrong after all? I just want to cultivate immortality, and take control of my life. I want to earn others' respect. I want to have a good life. Am I asking for too much? The more Peng thinks, the more unwilling she becomes. In the end, she directly got up and pounced towards Yu Wujia. She held him tightly, and dragged him into the water. No matter how he struggled, it was all in vain. Soon, the two of them were swept into the whirlpool, and disappeared from River Peace City. What is in this room? Just the scent emanating from it. It can make the royal prince of the sky-devouring wolf clan shiver with fear. Yi Feng feels that Richie has been acting a bit strange recently. Looking at the storage room ahead, he seemed to have thought of something. That's right. The way Richie looks now. This is really too much like his dog from a past life. It should be in heat. So he had to comfort Richie. Don't worry. I will find a solution for you. But for now, I have to inconvenience you temporarily. Zhongqing suddenly asked from behind. Boss, you're back. How was the poetry competition? Speaking of the poetry competition, Yi Feng said with dissatisfaction. Not as exciting as playing Fight the Landlord with those women from Red Fragrance Courtyard. But speaking of it, it seems like he hasn't seen them for a long time. Anyway, it's still early. I'll go find them to pass the time. Upon hearing this, the inexperienced Zhongqing blushed shyly. He asked in a quiet voice with his head lowered. Is the game Fight the Landlord fun, boss? Yi Feng patted his head and smiled, saying, Even if I tell you, you wouldn't understand. However, Zhongqing blushed and kept his eyes closed, saying, Boss, I think I understand. Because when I helped you deliver alcohol, I always saw those young ladies in those. However, before Zhongqing could finish speaking, Yi Feng interrupted him. Then he walked alone towards the direction of Red Fragrance Courtyard. He felt secretly proud in his heart. How could you understand? The only set of playing cards in the world created by me. The way of playing Fight the Landlord was also taught by me to the girls. The art of the game and the cards is not something one can easily grasp without guidance. How deep is the water in this dojo really? Even a random kitchen knife is considered a sacred grade treasure. Even the dog inside is a legendary sky-devouring wolf. The sun sets in the west. A hot girl is walking down the street, attracting the attention of men. Lilith takes the lead ahead of Mao Yuner and builds a relationship with Yi Feng. She decides to visit the dojo first. This time at the dojo, she has a different mindset because the owner of this dojo has turned from her enemy into her prey. Before leaving, Ning Xuanwu repeatedly emphasized that this banquet was a rare opportunity. She must do everything she can to make Yi Feng her subordinate. After making up her mind, Lilith shouted into the dojo. I, Lilith, am fortunate to have met Master Yi and dare not forget the courtesy. I have come to pay my respects. Zhongqing hurried out to greet her upon hearing this. I'm sorry. Our boss is not at home right now. I will tell him that you came when he's back. Lilith was a bit perplexed upon hearing that Yi Feng was not at home. Not at home? But we just met this morning. I thought he would be at home. Zhongqing blushed and turned his head. He stammered. The boss went to Red Fragrance Courtyard to meet the young lady and play Fight the Landlord. Upon hearing that Yi Feng would actually go to such a place, Lilith also became interested. Curiously, she approached Zhongqing and asked what exactly Fight the Landlord was. When asked this question, Zhongqing became extremely shy and stuttered for a while. He finally shouted out with his eyes closed. It's about the relationship between men and women. Seeing Jiangping so shy, Lilith joked, "Little brother, I didn't know you were quite knowledgeable. Thank you for today. Another day, sister will introduce someone to you." Upon hearing this, Jiangping immediately felt both shy and indignant, covering his face and running into the house. Seeing Jiangping's reaction, Lilith revealed a satisfied smile, thinking to herself, "How wonderful, how wonderful! I was worried that Mr. Stage's demeanor was too profound to be close to women, but it turns out that he appears refined on the surface, but is not a decent person in private." However, just as she turned around, her attention was caught by a piece of cloth. This cloth in front of her, isn't it the treasured swift cloak of their sect? Immediately, she raised her hand, and with a wave, the cloak was sucked into her hand. However, just as the cloak was in her hand, she heard a wolf's howl. At that moment of puzzlement, she turned her head and saw Jiangping rushing out with a kitchen knife. "How dare you steal things? I even thought you were pretty. I don't want you to introduce me to any more girls. Put the dishcloth down." Lilith just saw Jiangping as a mere mortal. She immediately sneered, "Little brother, just a piece of cloth. Why bother like this? What can you do as a child? I called you to put down the cloth." With a loud shout from Jiangping, the kitchen knife in his hand emitted a strong pressure. Lilith was so scared that she immediately knelt down with a thump. She looked at the kitchen knife in horror. It was really unbelievable. Both the heaven-shaking stone and swift cloak are emperor-grade treasures, but they are far inferior to the pressure emanating from this knife. Could it be of order grade or even sacred grade? Thinking of this, she quickly handed over the cloak, indicating that she dared not do it again. Jiangping accepted the cloak and said in a cold voice, "Don't think about anyone stealing anything from the dojo in front of me. Even if it's just a piece of cloth, even if it's a hair from Richie, this is my warmest home. The boss, Richie, and everything else, I swear to protect them with my life. Next time, I will not show mercy." After saying that, Jiangping turned and entered the house. Richie looked at Lilith with a mocking expression in his eyes. The tiny martial spirit also came to the door and acted arrogantly. Lilith was surprised that even a dog dared to mock her. She immediately glared fiercely at Richie. The young man let it go, as he was the master's disciple after all. How could a mere dog dare to act so arrogantly towards her? Richie was also angered by her glare. In his rage, the sun and moon mark on his forehead lit up. A beam of light shot out, causing Lilith to be thrown backward. She spat out a mouthful of blood heavily, with an incredulous look on her face. She, the mighty martial spirit expert Lilith, was actually defeated by a dog. However, when she got up again, she realized that something was wrong. She looked at Richie in horror. He was definitely not a dog. It seemed like the legendary sky-devouring wolf. Thinking about this, she couldn't help but inhale sharply. Just how mysterious is this dojo? She had been too reckless this time. The only way to resolve this might be to successfully defeat Mastery tonight. Meanwhile, inside the River Peace Merchant Guild, Head Mao and his daughter are nervously preparing for this date. Head Mao said, "This bottle of spring blossom powder has an aphrodisiac effect. If you are willing, tonight is the best time for you to show up." Upon hearing this, Malyuter blushed and shyly spoke about the spring blossom powder. "Why would I be unwilling? Only after meeting the gentleman today did I realize what a splendid figure he is. I cannot let that woman steal him away." The man came to Red Fragrance Courtyard with an excited expression, ready to play fight the landlord. He came up and made the lady inside blush. She kept giggling. The lady said she was ready, asking him to be more gentle. However, the man showed no sign of pity or cherishing the ladylike jade. He even told her not to show off. He asked her to come out and take a look. The maid listened to these words like a wolf and a tiger. The maid hurried in and shouted, "Red Fragrance Courtyard sells skills, not bodies. Let's see who's breaking the rules." However, as soon as she finished speaking, they saw Yi Feng and two others playing. Fight the landlord. Happily, the girl with blue hair inside said, $300 for the screen. After finishing the game with the two girls, Yi Feng also returned to his designated spot, waiting for the arrival of the two beauties. He thought to himself, should I be a bit aloof later or more affable? After all, they are my fans. Should I bring a bit of an idle burden? It really makes people embarrassed. However, just as he was pondering over this, a man with a folding fan suddenly appeared beside him and bumped into him, pushing him to the side. Then he asked if Yi Feng was also waiting for the girl. He received an affirmative answer. He grinned proudly and said, I am Wang Xian, just like my brother here. This girl is really hard to date. It took me 3 months of pursuit before she agreed. But thinking about her beauty, it's all worth it. As soon as he finished speaking, a plump woman approached him. He immediately turned to Yi Feng beside him and boasted, I'm not exaggerating, right? This figure and appearance are hard to find in our River Peace City. After saying that, he put his arm around the girl and walked away. The girl beside him asked if he knew Yi Feng, but he just smiled and said he was only an acquaintance. He's just an average guy, he continued. I think he looks like he's waiting for a girl. Could any girl be interested in him? Only someone with no sense of beauty. However, he had barely finished speaking when, just then, the waiter downstairs suddenly exclaimed, Oh, young Lady Mao, what a rare guest. You're welcome to visit our humble shop. Are you two together? No wonder you're companions of young Lady Mao. You both clearly stand out as extraordinary individuals. Yi Feng warmly greeted them. The two of them also respectfully bowed to him. At this moment, Xiao Er very astutely said a sentence. So you two are Master Yi's esteemed guests. Master Yi is generous. He has reserved the best spot in our restaurant. Only this way can it be worthy of your 3 identities. Watching the figure of the 3 people leaving, Wang Xian, who was just feeling smug, suddenly felt that the girl he had been chasing for 3 months was no longer attractive. He couldn't help but wonder if he was too superficial. He and I are not in the same league at all. This man is currently enduring the alternated attacks of sexy beauties and cute, adorable girls. The sexy beauty is toasting to him. The cute, adorable girl is serving him food. He feels a little tired, so the sexy girl is giving him a shoulder massage. The cute girl is giving him a foot massage. It's a dual experience of pleasure and pain, making Yi Feng feel both hurt and happy. He doesn't know how to describe it either. But gradually, he began to feel that the girl's strength was not quite right. He was in so much pain that he jumped up from the chair. He roared at the two of them. Have you had enough of making a fuss? Seeing Yi Feng angry, the two girls obediently sat in their chairs. But both sides looked at each other with sparks in their eyes. At this moment, Lilith spoke in a seductive tone and said, Sir, let's play Fight the Landlord together tonight. Yi Feng was somewhat surprised to hear the other party suggesting to play Fight the Landlord. Have you also played Fight the Landlord before? Hearing this, the sexy beauty blushed shyly. I'm sure I have never played Fight the Landlord before. Even playing it with you, sir, would be my first time. Upon hearing that the other party was a newbie, Yi Feng's fighting spirit was instantly ignited. This game can be addictive. If I play with you, we may end up playing all night long. However, as long as you promise me not to cry no matter what happens, we can book a room. We won't leave until we've had our fill of fun. After hearing Yi Feng's bold words, Lilith was extremely shy. She thought to herself, he is indeed brave. I hope I can handle it. However, before she could recover from her thoughts, just then Yi Feng spoke again, saying, But what's the point of us playing Fight the Landlord together? We definitely need 3 people to play this. So let's invite Miss Yuner to join us as well. Upon hearing Yi Feng's suggestion, Mao Yuner happily agreed. However, Lilith was so scared that her mind went blank. She thought, Oh my God, is he really serious? Does he even know what he's saying? So she quietly asked, Sir, do you really want the 3 of us to play Fight the Landlord? Of course. Since it's Fight the Landlord, you need at least 3 players. But of course, if there are enough people, 4 is also fine. Alright, it turns out Mr. likes this game. Impressive. What's so impressive about that? It's just a routine move. The waiter helped us open a few rooms. Find someone to go to my dojo. Ask my disciple to get the items needed for Fight the Landlord. When I heard Yi Feng say that Fight the Landlord also requires props, Lilith spewed out the water she had just drunk. Later, she couldn't help but secretly feel shocked when she looked at Yi Feng and Martialart. It seems like I saw a little bit through his ordinary appearance and understood the truth about him being an old freak. Fortunately, I am not facing this alone. But after the two of them finished their conversation, Yi Feng decided to go to the bathroom to clear his mind first. It's going to be a good night for a good fight. After Yi Feng left, the two of them locked eyes. Martialart spoke up and asked, "Is Fight the Landlord some kind of metaphor? Why don't we go our separate ways tonight? Let's put aside our prejudices and just focus on entertaining the gentleman. I'm willing to share this with you." After saying that, she took out the spring blossom powder she had prepared long ago and dripped it into the wine. After reaching a consensus, the two of them each conveyed the message back to their hometowns. The Qingshan Sect and River Peace merchants who received the message were also overjoyed. They all felt that Yi Feng was already their son-in-law. They feel that everything is going smoothly. Can reality really meet their wishes? This man invited 2 girls to a private room to play Fight the Landlord. He tapped the table and felt it was quite solid. So he asked the 2 girls to come up. The 2 girls heard Yi Feng's blunt words. They all blushed in embarrassment. But they still put down their faces and placed them on the table, asking Yi Feng what to do next. They were pushed down by a sudden force. Shortly after, I saw Yi Feng spread a deck of playing cards on the table. He began explaining it seriously to the 2 people. The rules of this Fight the Landlord game. Listening to Yi Feng's serious explanation, both girls blushed instantly. It turns out they both misunderstood the meaning of Fight the Landlord. Now they feel like their minds are blank, wishing they could find a hole to hide in. Yi Feng quickly dealt the cards. Then he smiled lightly and said, "As the saying goes, gambling hurts the body, but a small wager brings joy. Fighting too much is not interesting. Gambling with money is taking advantage of you. How about each of us wager something of value, but not too expensive?" "I'll wager my cherished dagger," said Yi Feng, throwing the dagger onto the table. The powerful pressure emanating from the dagger rendered Lilith, the martial spirit, immobile. While Lilith couldn't discern the specific quality of the dagger, she knew it was at least of the sacred grade. How could she possibly match such a wager? Since the venerable master's storage bag was taken last time, the pair of blades he held, of the same rank as the heaven-shaking stone, has become the Qingshan Sect's final treasure to protect the sect. After a psychological struggle, Lilith placed the pair of blades on the table and asked Yi Feng if it was okay to use them as a wager. However, Yi Feng responded indifferently, saying, "It's almost the same." His tone was very flat. But when Lilith heard this, it seemed to carry a different meaning. She thought to herself, "These 2 completely different treasures are just almost the same in his eyes. Doesn't that mean all treasures in the world are equal to him? Winning or losing doesn't matter. Just mere playthings." Thinking of this, she glanced again at Martialart across from her and thought to herself, "Although the plan has changed, as long as they wait for the medicine to take effect, it's fine to amuse themselves with her husband before that." Presumably, her thoughts are the same. In that case, I might as well take a risk. If I can obtain this dagger, Venerable Master will certainly be very pleased. Lilith has already taken out a treasure. Martialart also pulled out an 8 trigrams copper plate from her bosom and asked, "Can I use this?" She sounded somewhat unsure when she said this because neither the dagger nor the pair of knives emitted an ordinary aura. Their trading association did not have anything comparable to offer, and this item was barely acceptable. Yi Feng didn't really care about the 8 trigrams copper plate that Martialart took out, as long as there were benefits involved. However, Lilith, standing aside, immediately recognized the origin of this piece of copper. It seemed like one of the keys to a certain secret realm. She thought to herself, is Martialart really foolish or pretending to be weak to deceive others? But no matter what your plan is, I am determined to take these two things into my bag. Martialart also had the same idea. She knew that this piece of copper, though extraordinary, was impractical. It was just a superstitious item for good luck. If she could use it to win these two treasures, it would be a huge gain. And so, between these two women, a war without gunpowder began. This man made an appointment with two girls to play fight the landlord all night in a private room. He just wants to have a little more fun playing. He took out a sacred grade dagger as a special bonus. The two girls also each took out treasures from their respective sects and a key to a secret realm. However, happy times are always short-lived. Soon one night passed, accompanied by a rooster's crow. This game of fight the landlord also came to an end. This night, after battling it out, Yi Feng won decisively. They didn't even know how many rounds they played. However, the two girls were sporting dark circles under their eyes, looking tired, trying to steal chickens only to end up losing a whole handful of rice. They even lost all of their own treasures. At this moment, their gazes towards Yi Feng were full of unwillingness, yet they dared not speak it out loud. Just with a click, Yi Feng closed the door and walked out. The two girls looked at each other involuntarily. As they watched, it was already dawn. By this time, the effects of the spring blossom powder had taken effect. With the passage of time, it reached its peak. Both of them were finding it hard to hold back. So they decided to go all out and not hold back. They must immediately make Yi Feng drink this wine. Otherwise, their efforts would be in vain this time. However, at this moment, Yi Feng suddenly opened the door with a bang. He squinted his eyes and walked in, saying that it was almost dawn. He also felt a bit tired. So why not end it like this tonight? After saying that, he planned to go collect his spoils for the night. However, as soon as he reached out his hand, he was grabbed by two people. Seeing this, Yi Feng's expression immediately turned cold, reluctant to part with it. Yi Feng seemed angry. The two girls kept apologizing, afraid to speak. This made Yi Feng slightly more satisfied. Is this all right? Just a little gesture. Next time, if you win it back, it's all good. Playing cards is about having a backstory. Not taking it is breaking the rules. Next time when you play again, there won't be that level of seriousness and respect. After saying this, Yi Feng was ready to turn and leave. But at that moment, Mao grabbed his arm. She warmly invited him to sit down and take a break. Have some water. Yi Feng no longer refused when he saw her so enthusiastic. 3 cups conveniently arrived, inviting the two to drink together. The two of them also went all out to win Yi Feng's favor. They then raised their glasses and finished them in one gulp. After that, they both looked at Yi Feng as he drank down the wine himself. Feeling that the plan was halfway successful. Just need to delay for a moment. Once the drug took effect, everything would be accomplished. After chatting for a moment, Yi Feng indeed started to have a fever. The medicine is working. So now only the last step is missing. Only to see Lilith picking up Yi Feng's clothes and smelling them, saying, "Mr. Feng's clothes smell really nice." Yi Feng touched her forehead and asked softly, "Are you running a fever? Your face is so red." Just as he said that, Lilith was about to. Martialart also quickly squeezed over and extended an invitation to Yi Feng. "A moment of spring night with a gentleman is priceless. Your heavy breathing has already given you away." Upon hearing this, Yi Feng was also somewhat surprised. "Am I found out?" Martialart then grabbed his hand. She then placed her hand on her chest. Victory or defeat lies in this move. Facing two fierce-looking girls. How will Yi Feng choose at this moment? The next second, there was a loud slap sound. A hand patted on Martialart's shoulder. He said relievedly, "I didn't expect you to find out. I really needed to use the restroom. Although I just went once, it seems like my kidneys are not doing well. But I really can't hold it. Believe it or not. There are 3 urgencies for humans, and I went. Just one step away, Yi Feng suddenly ran away. Both girls were petrified on the spot in an instant. With the bang of the door closing, Martialart felt extremely flushed all over. She hoped that Yi Feng could come back soon. But little did she know that at this moment, behind her, there was a pair of scorching eyes fixed on her. The next second, Lilith pinned her down on the table. Under the push of the medicine, the two could not help but enter paradise. And at this time, Yi Feng was also happily taking care of business in the toilet. After a refreshing moment, he came back and saw this stimulating scene, which instantly made him sober. He quickly closed the door. He thoughtfully hung "Do not disturb" signs for the two of them. But at this moment, his heart was filled with deep sorrow. There are so many beautiful girls in the world. How come none of them belong to me? They played cards with me all night. But none of them hugged me. It turns out they are a couple. I'd better go home and pet the dog. Shortly after, Martialart returned to the River Peace Guild in a daze. He told his father about what happened, which made Head Mouse so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood. You mean to say that not only did you fail, but you also lost a priceless copper plate and ended up being slept with by a woman? Speaking of which, Martialart also helplessly sat on the ground. I never thought that the first time in my life, I would give it to a woman. Seeing this, Head Mouse could only sigh helplessly. It's inevitable to lose in this situation. At the Xuanwu sect at this moment, the situation was the same. Ning Xuanwu looked incredulous, questioning Lilith in front of the audience. You call this achievement simply sleeping with a woman? Our sect's ultimate treasure, the 2 stars Dark Blade, was also lost by me in a game of Fight the Landlord. Hearing that our sect has even lost its final treasure, Ning Xuanwu suddenly punched himself in the chest, spitting out a mouthful of old blood. He laughed like a madman. Misfortune and fortune, all the scheming was in vain. You go to Xuanwu Cliff and reflect on your actions facing the wall for a year. You are not allowed to come out for a year. He originally came from hell, as the god of death. Just his aura alone is enough to intimidate the sky-devouring wolf, who possesses the strength of the martial king. But that's just how powerful he is. Now he is being beaten up like a pet by a mortal. He is even being despised as worthless trash. Yi Feng saw Richie rolling on the ground again. He thought it was thirsty again. He decided to help it get rid of this root of trouble. But Richie ran away. It has been following Yi Feng for so many days. It has already broken through to the martial king stage. But for some reason, the aura emanating from the door made it feel uncomfortable, without any relief. It can feel that thing is about to come out soon. Is it a fierce beast from the ancient times, or an unparalleled Yogwai? Only a click was heard. The lock on the storage room broke. A skeleton walked out from inside. Richie trembled, holding onto Yi Feng's thigh. Although it couldn't see the cultivation level on the skeleton's body, or even sense his breath, that sense of inescapable crisis from his palm was incredibly real. This was clearly an inanimate object. But why would an inanimate object move? Why would it have such a strong deterrent effect? However, just as it was shocked by the power of the skeleton, Yi Feng has already raised his fist and hit the skeleton. He cursed while hitting. You stupid thing! You scared the hell out of me. That lousy system can't teach how to make money or how to cultivate. That broken system keeps sending me so much useless stuff, dragging me down. It floats around like a ghost without doing anything all day. Do you think I'm acting in Scream? You're absolutely useless. If I keep you locked up for a while, maybe you'll learn how to pick locks. Seeing such a powerful skeleton, it was actually beaten up like a toy by Yi Feng. Richie was stunned. After fighting for a while, Yi Feng also started to feel a bit tired. But as soon as he saw the skeleton, he got angry. So he punched the skeleton's head directly, and sent it flying away. This scene is so shocking that it would astonish a dog for 100 years. However, even when Yi Feng punched the head flying away, the skull, however, remains completely unharmed. It then casually put the head back in place with one hand. Yi Feng somewhat helplessly threw a black robe to him. He told him to put it on and stop scaring people everywhere. Now he really doesn't know what to do with the skull. Does he keep it in the courtyard as a decoration? But it moves. The tranquility of the years is better off if he uses it as a walnut plate. But as soon as he thinks about it, the walnut he's holding is a skull. Yi Feng is full of disgust on his face. After much thought, he realized that indeed this skull was completely useless. So he stopped thinking and just went ahead to pat Richie's head. Richie, enjoying the pat, did not resist at all under Veteran's hands. I wonder why I am so favored by Veteran. This martial sovereign old man is simply crazy. He not only harmed his own brothers for the sake of longevity. He is even insane. He set up a once-in-a-millennium great formation to assassinate the male lead. In a canyon somewhere beyond Shogunate Mountain. Li Mocha in the name of treasure hunting. He brought 3 madmen to this canyon. He trapped the 3 of them in the formation formed by the natural formations here. He also pocketed Old Wu's sacred grade celestial rake. Old Wu, trapped in the formation, questioned him. Why did you do this? Li Mocha sneered. We have been friends for many years. You still know nothing about me. Why bother to ask? I said I would take you to search for treasures. But look around the world. Where can you find treasures better than everything in that dojo? But those are all material possessions. The real treasure is mastery. When Li Mocha dared to scheme against Yi Feng, the 3 were immediately enraged. You dare tarnish the name of the master. How dare you? What wouldn't I dare? I'll tell you the truth. I'm not afraid of him. Not even the treasures in his dojo have captured my thoughts. Even if he is truly impeccable, a celestial being, as long as I activate that thing to strip away his luck, I can pull him off his pedestal and turn him into a true mortal. What do you mean by? What do you mean? Tomorrow happens to be the rare once in 10,000 years sighting of the celestial river continent. In year, in month, in day. Are you implying that you know the lost celestial in great formation that has been missing for 10,000 years? Those who enter the celestial in great formation will lose their cultivation level below the celestial being level without realizing it. Although this formation is powerful, it goes against the laws of nature. If you insist on resorting to extreme measures against Mr. Name Redacted, you will also face divine retribution. You will not have a good death, and will not be able to be reincarnated for eternity. To my surprise, Li Mocha smiled slyly and said, I have mastered the great art of seizing fate to the deepest level, even beyond what we can fathom. There are countless treasures at my disposal. When I obtain the extraordinary luck, even the heavenly Tao will support me if I seize it. Upon hearing Li Mocha's malicious intentions, Old Wu desperately kept attacking the formation, thinking that even if he perished today, he must break through the formation and deliver the message to Yi Feng. However, Li Mocha had no intention of giving him that chance. He casually released a beam of light that pierced through Old Wu's chest, directly destroying his dantian and reducing him to a mortal body. He wouldn't last long before dying. As he watched Old Wu lying unconscious on the ground, Li Mocha let out a sinister laugh. You asked for this. Among the 4 of us, I am the oldest. Do you understand that my time is running out? I have no choice. Wu Yonghong, I truly appreciate you for introducing mastery to me in time. With his luck, I exchanged my longevity. It's marvelous to reach the pinnacle of material refining. This man was originally relaxing at home, basking in the sun and petting his dog. He was inexplicably targeted by a powerful martial sovereign for some reason. At this moment, Li Mocha arrived above River Peace City. The celestial in great formation had been set up by him. It was just half a jaw stick's time away from the right time, the right place, and the right people. However, Yi Feng was still sound asleep in the courtyard, completely unaware of the impending danger. The time has come. Open. With the voice of Li Mocha, thunder suddenly roared in the sky. Instantly 5 great formations appeared above Yi Feng's dojo. Suddenly a gale rose. Countless beams of light descended. The beams of light turned into lightning chains and rushed towards the sleeping Yi Feng. Sealing of cultivation level completed. Li Mocha waved his hand and condensed a transformed long sword. The long sword is directly approaching Yi Feng, even though this is just his martial sovereign's full strike. But without the cultivation level of Yi Feng, he believes that even a martial emperor will only end up as a dead dog under this sword. Watching as the long sword approached closer and closer, Yi Feng still had no reaction. Li Mocha laughed smugly. The celestial in great formation is truly terrifying. This person has no reaction to my attacks, indicating that he has been completely imprisoned by his cultivation level. However, the next second, his expression froze. Because of his full-powered strike of the martial sovereign. When it landed on Yi Feng, not only did it not cause any harm to Yi Feng, but it also made his attack disappear into nothingness. Just like swallowing a sword performance. Li Mocha was so scared that cold sweat burst out, shocked with mouth wide open. How is this possible? Hasn't he been confined by his cultivation level? Why can he still withstand my attack? Even if there was a mistake in the celestial in great formation, there should at least be some reaction when blocking the attack. Why does the attack hitting him directly turn into nothingness? This is too mysterious. But when he thought about it, he also figured it out. After all, even if the person in front of him is not a martial emperor, they are at least a martial saint, even if their cultivation level is not there. But the defensive power he is trained in is still there. Thinking of this, a sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. I see. I just love this kind of challenge. After all, killing a strong opponent is much more wonderful than squashing an ant. Murderous goo, come out. With these words, Li Mocha spit out a goo insect with multiple tentacles and a single eye, rushing straight towards Yi Feng's mouth. In front of my murderous goo insect, no matter how strong your defense is, it won't work. Once it enters your body, even if you restore your cultivation level, you will still have to wait for death. Watching the goo insect getting closer and closer. Suddenly, with a loud slap, the awakening Yi Feng directly slapped and killed the murderous goo. Then he impatiently said, "Where did this annoying fly come from? Disturbing my sleep." At the moment when murderous goo insect was swatted to death, Li Mocha's eyeballs almost popped out. His face was full of horror. At the same time, his body was also hit by a backlash. He suddenly spat out a mouthful of old blood. Now he only has one thought in mind: run. So he immediately ran away. He ran all the way to the outskirts of town. Not until he made sure there was no one around did he finally breathe a sigh of relief. But he was still full of doubts. Clearly, the celestial in great formation had taken effect. But why can the other party, who has no cultivation level, still manage to kill with a slap the murderous goo known for its astonishingly hard shell? It's something that wouldn't be shattered, no matter if it was burned by fire or drowned in water, or even if hit by a full-strength slap from a martial emperor. There is only one explanation: this person's luck has become so strong that it's unshakable. He is indispensable, and his luck cannot be taken away by anyone. Thinking of this, Li Mocha felt a chilling sensation. He turned around to continue his escape. But all he heard was a sharp swish. A figure in a black robe suddenly appeared above his head. Although he couldn't see the other party's face, the invisible sense of oppression had already left him breathless. This skeleton possesses the powers of natural laws and time laws. It can not only summon wind, fire, thunder, and lightning. It can also make people instantly return to youth. However, he is such a powerful person. He is actually just Yi Feng's servant. Li Mocha at the moment when he saw the man in black robe. He instinctively thought Yi Feng had come to kill him and turned to flee. But he had just turned around when the figure in black appeared before him, causing him to immediately panic and demand to know who the person was. But the figure in black remained standing silently, without a hint of movement. Seeing no response from the other party, Li Mocha thought to himself that if the person was Yi Feng, there should be no need for such antics. With that, he snorted coldly. After all, I, Li Mocha, am also a skilled martial sovereign. Dare to cause trouble for me and face the consequences. He then flipped his palm, turning it into numerous palm prints of spiritual power, blasting towards the figure in the black robe. Faced with such a fierce attack, the figure in the black robe remained unfazed. With a loud bang, a large crater was created where the figure in the black robe stood. Li Mocha laughed triumphantly. But soon his expression froze. Wait for the smoke to dissipate. The figure in the black robe still stood there unharmed. This also made his jaw drop instantly. That was his full-strength blow. The other party was unscathed. Could it be the law of smoke and no injury at work again? Seeing that he was no match, he was about to turn around and escape. At this moment, a pair of black hands that covered the sky suddenly came down and slammed him directly to the ground. He kept wailing, "Me and your excellency have no grievances from the past. No recent enmity. Your excellency, why treat me like this?" Hearing his wails, the black-robed figure floated over. No grievances? Li Mocha lay on the ground looking dumbfounded. What does this mean? Could it be that you are really Yi Feng? I am not the owner. I am just a servant. Li Mocha was stunned on the spot by such a response. A servant? And he had just called Yi Feng his master. Such a powerful master. Is he really just Yi Feng's servant? So you mean Yi Feng, Master Yi? Could it be that he is a celestial being? Upon hearing Li Mocha's guess, the skeleton flying in the air waved hands repeatedly. How could the master possibly be a celestial being? Upon hearing this, Li Mocha breathed a sigh of relief. That's true. How could such an existence, like a celestial being, be in such a small and rundown place? I'm afraid there must have been some changes in the celestial in great formation. Who would have thought that the next moment, the skeleton would show a big white tooth and say, "The master, he is a deity, he is God." Upon hearing the word deity, Li Mocha's face was full of disbelief. Impossible. Deity is an existence that is countless times higher than a celestial being. Even those who govern the laws of heaven and earth, such as a martial emperor, are no different from ants in front of a deity. This kind of existence that transcends the highest categories, how could it be relegated to such a place? There is nothing that is impossible. After all, as a master servant, I am also a deity. You are talking nonsense. Do you think deity is just a common cabbage? It exists everywhere. Li Mocha shouted wildly at the skeleton, but received no response. This also made him secretly pleased. This guy is indeed just bluffing. This skeleton appearance is probably just a trick of the eye. However, he had just been happy for a short while. Just saw a flash of red light in the skeleton's eyes. A bolt of lightning struck directly towards him, followed by frost, flames, a tornado. In just an instant, Li Mocha was baptized by wind, fire, and thunder. After this baptism, Li Mocha has already lost half of his life. Lowering his head, he tremblingly coughed out a sentence, "Natural laws. This is the legendary natural laws." At this point, the skeleton spoke again. If you still don't believe, then what else is there? Only to see the skeleton pointing a finger out. He then removed Li Mocha from the brink of aging, turned into a newborn baby. Then, another finger was pointed, causing him to age instantly. Li Mocha looked at his hands covered with wrinkles. This is the time laws. You really are a deity. However, after playing for so long, the skeleton also feels a bit tired. Slowly exhale a sentence. Forget it, let's die. With that, it clenched its hand in the air. Li Mocha's body began to slowly turn into ashes. It wasn't until this moment that he realized how foolish he had been. How could he have been so blind as to try to plunder the things and luck of the deity? After shedding a tear of regret, he completely disappeared from this world. This scene was also seen by an old man hiding in the shadows, who was just there to watch the excitement. Although he couldn't feel the passing laws around Limoka, he could clearly sense his cultivation level. A martial sovereign powerhouse. Actually, being killed so easily. If it were me as a martial emperor, wouldn't I die even more miserably? Thinking of this, he just wanted to turn around and escape. But he saw a skeleton had appeared behind him. Coldly said, "Is this hustle and bustle enjoyable to watch?" This martial emperor old man just wanted to come over to watch the fun. He didn't expect to witness a martial sovereign in front of him. He turned into ashes without any resistance. He was about to turn around and escape, but was caught in the act. So, this old man is named Lu Dasheng. He is the #1 alchemist of South Sand. This time he came to River City to visit the Qingshan Sect. However, he ended up waiting for half a month because Lu Qingshan went into seclusion to make a breakthrough after reading Yi Feng's novel. He watched as Lu Qingshan finally emerged from seclusion. He immediately showed his authority to the two of them. The Qingshan Sect is acting arrogantly. Just using the excuse of the sect leader going into seclusion can make me, Lu Dasheng, wait half a month in vain. Upon hearing this, Lu Qingshan quickly said, "I dare not. I was just unaware of your arrival earlier. Please forgive my neglect." Later, Lu Dasheng also began to explain his intentions. "Currently, I need to refine a 5-grade pill for a martial emperor in South Sand. I need to borrow your flame bead for this purpose. If you are willing to lend it, not only would it help me, but it would also be considered a favor in the eyes of that martial emperor." Upon hearing this, Lu Qingshan immediately understood. He thought to himself, "No wonder he could patiently wait for me. When he asked for my Qingshan Sect's treasure, as soon as he opened his mouth, luckily I had already given it to the gentleman." Thinking here, he clasped his hands, expressing his regret. "The flame bead is no longer the property of the Qingshan Sect. I have gifted it to my benefactor." When Lu Qingshan actually gave away the treasure of the Qingshan Sect, Lu Dasheng naturally did not believe it. He said, "Okay. Then I will go and ask him for it again. I believe he will give me, the #1 alchemist of South Sand, some face. Take me to meet him." Upon hearing this, Lu Qingshan looked embarrassed. The flame bead was a gift for Master Yi. How could he bring himself to ask for it back? If it upsets Master Yi, that would be a real problem. However, Lu Dasheng insisted without question, saying, "I don't care if it's true or not. You must get it back for me." Seeing this, Lu Qingshan had to explain. "Master, this may be a bit inconvenient. If there are other requests, I will satisfy them, Master, but this one might be difficult." As soon as I heard this, even Lu Dasheng became interested. Who exactly is the other party? What kind of person can make you so cautious? "The gentleman is my lifesaver, Lu Qingshan. He is also the savior of our entire Qingshan Sect. His immersion in the mortal world is as deep as anyone's. I dare not say more. The gentleman stepped into the mortal world simply to experience the life of ordinary people. Therefore, he does not like to be disturbed." When these words were spoken, Lu Qingshan and Luo Lanshua's eyes were full of respect. Upon hearing this, Lu Dasheng disdainfully remarked, "If you put it that way, then whether I want to see him or not, I must see him." After speaking, he waved the magic wand in his hand. A vine shot up from the ground and tightly grabbed Luo Lanshua by the neck. Then, Lu Dasheng spoke slowly. "Unfortunately, I must have the flame bead. Whether you agree or not, I will have it. But don't worry. I only want to get the flame bead from him, nothing else." Lu Qingshan saw his beloved disciple severely injured, coughing up blood. Lu Qingshan had no choice but to reluctantly agree. At the same time, he secretly blamed himself. "I'm sorry, Master. Please don't blame me for disturbing your peace by bringing people here to cause trouble." Later, he led Lu Dasheng towards Yi Feng's dojo. Halfway there, they suddenly saw experts fighting ahead. Lu Dasheng flew over without hesitation to watch the excitement. He saw the scene where Limoka was killed in seconds. He was caught red-handed by the party involved in the skeleton. He was so scared that he quickly explained. "Veteran, I was just passing by. By the way, I am the first alchemist of South Sand and can refine Emperor-grade Dan pills. If, veteran, you need them, I am willing to serve you. I beg you to spare my life." However, the skeleton said coldly, "Do you think I would need an Emperor-grade Dan pill? You slap yourself 100 times. Then roll as far as you can. If you don't slap, I assure you will end up worse than that person." Upon hearing the words, Lu Dasheng quickly agreed. He began to slap himself frantically. At this moment, he deeply regretted his actions. He wondered why he had gotten himself into this trouble. He was just here to watch the excitement. How did he end up in this situation? Lu Qingshan, who arrived later, saw Lu Dasheng kneeling on the ground, frantically slapping himself. He hurriedly asked, "Master Lu, what misfortune has befallen you? Why are you humiliating yourself like this?" But the only response he got was a single word: "Get out!" Seeing this, Lu Qingshan instinctively thought to himself, maybe something unfortunate happened in his family. After all, we dare not say. We also dare not ask. This man, just leisurely taking a nap in the dojo. He can consecutively resolve a martial sovereign, assassination by a formidable opponent, and the little skeleton that he despises in every possible way. It is transformed into a deity-level powerhouse. It directly killed that martial sovereign. After waking up, Yi Feng found that the little skeleton was not in the dojo. He rubbed his eyes and asked Zhong Qing where that broken thing went. Zhong Qing looked around and indicated that it was there just now. How come it's gone in a short while? This remark also gave Yi Feng an instant ominous premonition. Until now, he still remembered the difficult days when the system gave him the skeleton. The skeleton trashed old Mr. Wang's vegetable garden. The skeleton killed the cow in old Mrs. Li's home again. Yi Feng can tell with just a pinch of his toes. That guy is really unsettling. He must have gone out and caused trouble for himself again. And the reality turned out just as he had expected. At this moment, the little skeleton is walking on the street. It relies on lightning-fast speed. It shuttles under the skirts of the little girls, just as its magic claws reach for the hem of the little girl's skirt. Yi Feng kicked it away with a sliding tackle. Then he unleashed a flurry of punches and kicks on it, before everyone could react. Yi Feng then wrapped the small skull into a ball with his cloak. He quickly turned into a gust of wind and escaped from the scene, leaving the pedestrians on the street looking bewildered. One person and one skull returned to the dojo. Yi Feng was so angry at the little skull that he couldn't contain himself. This thing is like a festering sore attached to his bones. He has thrown it away, buried it, but it just won't go away. Now there is only one last resort. Today is either your death or my madness. At this moment, the little skull crawled out from the cloak. It even made a cute gesture towards Yi Feng. Yi Feng was completely angry when he saw this. "How dare you act cute in front of me? This time I will take you down. Let's see what you can do." The scattered little skull. It slowly lifted its only intact hand. It wanted to greet its master nicely. The result was that Yi Feng saw a strong middle finger. This also made his anger explode directly. Common sense is lacking. You did learn this thing quite well. Just as Yi Feng was about to continue dismantling the little skull, Zhong Qing suddenly ran over to report that there were people outside claiming to be from the River Peace Merchant Guild, carrying a sedan chair. They asked him to make sure to visit the guild and settle the earnings for this season's Dream of the Red Chamber. Yi Feng knew there must be a fraud behind the name of the River Peace Merchant Guild when he heard it. So he casually said, "Let it be. People of different paths cannot plan together. Regardless of their intentions, let's consider this money lost and not fall for their trap." However, upon hearing Yi Feng's words, Zhong Qing was unwilling to agree. "How can this be allowed? I will never let anyone owe the boss and get away with paying less," he said. Boss, managing the dojo is not easy at all. And now we have one more skeleton on our hands. Even if we don't use it to help those in real need, we must never give discounts to that villain who used to bully us. Looking at Jiangping standing up for himself, Yi Feng smiled. Silly child, you are so honest. Although kindness is a good thing, I'm always afraid you will suffer when you go out on your own in the future. Upon hearing this, Jiangping's face turned red with embarrassment. Yi Feng smiled and patted his head. I found that he indeed seemed to have grown taller by quite a bit. So Yi Feng asked him to go on his behalf. Get the money back and leave. Don't worry about anything else. And repeated the phrase. Different paths cannot converge. But when Jiangping went out, he had not returned to the dojo by the time the sun had set in the west. And Yi Feng also spared no effort in sealing the little skeleton. He separated all the parts of its body, scattered them throughout the dojo. Now only the skull in his hand is left. Then he threw the skull in his hand, chanting incantations. If I set you free, you will inevitably cause great trouble. I have no choice but to resort to this. Today, in the name of justice, I will seal you away, never to see the light of day again. After saying that, he kicked the small skull into the well. Perfect physical seal. However, he had just finished sealing the small skull. He turned his head and saw a villager. Suddenly, looking flustered, the villager ran over and told him, Your little disciple Jiangping is in trouble. It's not looking good. You should go check on him quickly. Upon hearing this, Yi Feng was instantly struck as if by lightning. This man just sealed a god-level skeleton with physical power. On the other hand, he was informed that his disciple was severely injured after going out to collect debts and being beaten up. Yi Feng, who arrived shortly after, looked at the barely breathing Jiangping. He quickly picked him up and rushed back to the dojo. He began rummaging through boxes and cabinets. He found the soul-returning Dan that the system had given him to save his life. He fed it to Jiangping. This barely saved a life. But Jiangping's current injuries, for a mortal, are almost beyond saving. To save him, only a divine herb will work. But obtaining a divine herb requires luck or fate. So even the dog by the side feels that this time, it seems even the veteran is helpless. After Yi Feng gently calmed Jiangping to sleep, he slowly got up. Glaring outside with a murderous aura, he said, Whoever it is, even if it costs me everything, I will make you pay with blood. Meanwhile, inside the River Peace Trading Company, Head Mao was angrily scolding his subordinates, who had failed in their duties. He desired to have them executed on the spot. Fortunately, at this moment, his son Maui walked out. This helped to slightly stabilize his emotions. Then he let out a heavy sigh. Now the entire top management of the Chamber of Commerce is against me continuing to serve as the head. I was thinking that if Yi Feng cannot work for me, killing him would also help me get out of the predicament. Every move is taken to ensure your father remains in power, even sacrificing your sister. Isn't it all for you to continue to serve as the head? After hearing what his father said, Maui laughed and clapped his hands. 3 experts suddenly emerged. I saw Maui smilingly introduce. These 3 experts from the Skyblasters gang will help us directly resolve Yi Feng with their martial spirit. Upon hearing that the other party was actually the martial spirit head of the Skyblasters gang, Mao was delighted. In this way, even if there were connections with the Baofeng Trade Association and Qingshan Sect, he was no longer afraid. But after his daughter's probing last time, he also knew that Yi Feng was not simple. However, Maui just sneered. No matter how extraordinary a mortal was, what would be the result when facing a cultivator? It was an iron law that mortals were no match for cultivators. Who could break the natural laws of the world? If he could break them, then he would no longer be the kid struggling to survive in the bustling marketplace. At this time, Head Mao leaned towards him again. He asked softly, To invite these 3 people, it will probably cost quite a bit, right? Mao Yi smiled faintly and replied, Father, rest assured. They won't have any interest in treasures like us mortals. They only need 100 young women in their prime. He was stunned when he heard that they actually wanted women. Then he burst into wild elation, feeling like he was going to make a killing. He excitedly told the 3 bosses that as long as they help us get this done, I can find not only 100 young women, but even 200 for you. The 3 of them gave a cold smile and said, "Very well. Let's rest for a day. That little bastard will be handed over to us." At the same time, Yi Feng also arrived. When Baofeng Trade Association leader Ian saw him, he quickly welcomed him warmly and asked him to take a seat. However, Yi Feng remained silent, which made leader Ian extremely nervous. He thought to himself, could it be that I did something wrong, or perhaps the guild unintentionally touched Master Yi's sore spot? At this moment, Yi Feng slowly spoke. "Leader Ian, your guild should be capable of killing people, right?" Upon hearing this question, Leader Ian was so frightened that cold sweat broke out, unsure of how to respond. At this time, Yi Feng coldly said, "I mean, I want to kill a few people, because someone almost killed my disciple." Leader Ian was shocked and opened his mouth wide in disbelief at the words. What a situation! As Master Yi's identity, there are actually people who dare to lay hands on his disciple. If this matter is not handled well and Master Yi gets angry, I'm afraid the entire River Peace City will be in uproar. "So do you have a solution?" Yi Feng asked again. This statement really scared Leader Ian. He quickly expressed that of course he had a solution. "May I ask who dared to lay hands on your disciple?" "It may be someone from the River Peace Merchant Guild. Of course, I currently have no evidence. I need you to investigate. My only condition for this deal is to make sure to bring me the head of the mastermind behind the scenes." Upon hearing this, Leader Ian quickly agreed. After seeing off Yi Feng, Leader Ian, he immediately instructed the steward behind him to prepare horses to go to Qingshan Sect. He hurried to Qingshan Sect on horseback and told Lu Qingshan about the matter. Lu Qingshan, upon learning about this matter, was instantly furious. This is unacceptable. The beloved disciple almost lost his life. Master Yi must be in pain. Hurry back to the city and spare no effort to find out the truth for the master, regardless of the cost. I will take care of everything at Qingshan Sect.